Today, we have the U.S. men's Olympic team. It is Frederick Richard, Brody Malone, Paul Juda, Asher Hong, Nedoroscik. Am I forgetting anyone?
Those are the five. You did a good job.
You only get
Khoi
five.
Young and Shane Wiskus are the traveling alternates.
We have updates from the women's side, and we have updates from yesterday. We are exactly one period cycle away from the opening ceremony in Paris. Welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. Welcome to our immediate reactions, a live podcast right after the meet happened without our deep analysis like we normally do on our weekly show. This is how the special coverage works. Headlines are for everybody, and then the conversation continues with some live Q&A for our club members because they support us all year long, which allows us to give you guys this. And if you're a club member, switch to your members feed. So nothing will stop for you. You can listen to the whole thing. Don't forget to do that. And thank you all of our Club Gym Nerd members for helping us. Okay. Spencer.
Yes.
Breaking news. The selection procedure was followed exactly.
It was written there. The U.S. men's program has an actual selection procedure, and then they wrote it in advance, and then they followed it, even if maybe they didn't want to. Yeah. Because I kind of feel like if things had gone to a discretionary criteria, they might have intervened to do some other things, but they couldn't because certain people hit throughout the process and other people didn't. So basically what they do is they take nationals and trials, not just Olympic trials, take everyone's four-day average on every event, get the highest scoring team. Then they do the same thing, best 3 out of 4 scores on each event, see what the highest scoring team is. If that's the same team, that's the Olympic team. And in this case, it was the same team. That was the Olympic team. So there was no discussion, no analysis, no permutations to be done. It was just, we wrote that this was going to be the team, and now this is the team. And so Malone, Richard, Nedoroscik, Juda, and Hong is the team. Big upset, I think, at this point from the process of Asher Hong finding his way onto the team, because I would have said after nationals, he's going to need this to go to the discretionary criteria so that the selection committee can intervene and be like, but that vault and these scores, and it's Asher Hong, and we kind of really do want him. But he ended up having a great second day and getting himself onto the highest scoring team, so didn't even have to have it go to the discretionary.
Who is the most upset that Nedoroscik, not upset for Nedoroscik, but upset because Nedoroscik, he didn't exactly hit the last 14s he's done in competition, but he did enough to make himself have to be on the team by the selection criteria. Who's the most upset?
His very first one at nationals was very good. After that, definitely going into Olympic trials, I feel like we always want people to be strategically sound, and he was strategically sound. He was like, oh, everyone's screwing up on pommel horse, so I don't even need that good of a score for me in order to make the team, so I can downgrade and stay on the apparatus, and then I'm automatically locked onto the team. And that's exactly what happened. He's on all of the highest scoring teams, and by a lot. You have to work really hard to get a highest scoring, something close to a highest scoring team that doesn't have Nedoroscik on it based on what happened at nationals and trials, because everyone fell so much on pommel horse. Like if Khoi Young had hit all of his pommel horse routines, he would be on this team instead of Steven Nedoroscik. Yes. And I think that's probably what the selection committee would have had in mind before this process started and would have loved, because he is great on pommel horse and he gives you things like a perfect handspring Randy on vault. That's one of the best routines that we see on any event at the whole competition.
And Khoi is capable of a big fat 15.
Well, yeah, he's a world medalist on pommel horse.
Like he can do it. I think Shane Wiskus had the meat of his life.
Was so good.
It was like,
he must be. I mean, his face, I felt like, was just like, what do I possibly have to do? Right. Because he did the best he could do today.
He had his Olympics, except his last event. His last vault was not great, but overall he did amazing. I mean,
his vault wasn't his vault really good?
Who fell on their last vault? Oh no, it was the other blonde boy. How do you keep
Cameron Bach? Because I was
Cameron
like, wait a second.
On his
I thought Shane's vault was really good.
Yeah, it was Cameron Bach. I'm sorry, it's hard to keep all these white boys straight.
These blonde people, you gotta get
the
rid
blondes.
Of
they're all But Cameron, because Cameron also had an amazing meet today, and then he fell, and I was like, no, but he did a great job. I felt like Shane Wiskus' meet was his revenge tour on the University of Minnesota. Basically, while he was saying, let's go, and like the crowd was giving him like standing ovations. They were so happy for him. They know his story here, how he, was in the running for an Olympic team. Then they cut his program. Then he didn't have anywhere to train. Then he had to move. He was literally standing up in the cafeteria at college being, please save the men's gymnastics program. I could make the Olympic team and I don't have anywhere to train. Moved to Evo. He had like 6 different coaching changes and location changes in 1 year before Tokyo. And now they're getting rid of, to add insult to injury, now they're even getting rid of the closet where the men's team trained for 30 years or 100 years. That team has been around forever at Minnesota, to replace it with a larger, like, so they can put, an automatic sweeper in there or something. I mean, what are they going to use with that tiny space? So I felt like when he was actually being like, let's go, what he was really doing was like double FUing University of Minnesota board of directors and athletic department. That's actually what was happening. And I was like, yes, we get the subtext, Shane. And that's all coming from me, not from him personally. That's just what I imagined.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the greatest thing that happened in this competition. I don't know if you guys could tell on TV if they had the music loud enough, but I have decided this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. And they should 100% do this for men's gymnastics. It should be an actual rule change because it's even better than having music with floor routines. Could you hear the DJ mixing to Donnell Whittenburg's floor?
I didn't notice if we could hear it.
You guys. There's a DJ because Lily knows what's up and she's like, oh, the colleges have DJs in meets. We're going to have DJs. I have no idea if it's her decision, but she's in charge. So I'm giving her credit.
Jessica, that is so far below my pay grade.
She's like, are you kidding me?
Talking about DJs.
I'm giving her credit.
I'm not hiring the DJ.
She personally makes them all compete at her house for the DJ.
Oh, that would be great.
Pool party at Lily's. So she puts out her cutouts from the old, remember that Winter Cup where they couldn't have any people? And so they had cutouts of her pets in the audience and they are the judges. Okay. So what happened was Donnell Whittenburg, who is an absolute fan favorite, got a standing ovation for his final routine. I mean, it's like people love him. He's so memorable. And his vaults are insane. So he also had a really good meet. Hit his floor.
If he had hit yesterday like he did today,
he would have
done it. I feel like we would have had a very different conversation. Because allegedly his floor was great, even though NBC only showed us the last 2 passes because they were like, oh, something memorable happened. Something interesting happened, but we weren't planning on showing it because we said Donnell Whittenburg's out of the picture, which he basically was after the first
He basically was. But yeah, he fell on day 1 on his vault. Probably the vault's fault. And then he fell also on floor, put his hands down on floor. So it was he did a great job today. He did his absolute best today. And so after he finished his last routine, he got a standing ovation. It was beautiful. But before that, he went to floor. He's doing, like, I noticed during first pass, I was like, oh, he hit his first pass. Then the DJ changed the music. Then he hit his next skill. The DJ changed the music. Then he's holding his, on the floor planche with your face, nose hairs touching. And I was like, and the music was like the whole time, and then changed when he got out of that. It was so cool. I loved this. We could have like a DJ competition and men's floor with music at the same time if they did this. This is the greatest thing that's happened to men's floor. I'm obsessed with this idea. The DJ was great and like got all the moments, changed it even more crescendo-y for the last pass. It's it's one of my favorite things that happened tonight.
Well, notes for the GOAT tour, like they're having men, right? So like work on that for the GOAT tour, practice, get ready to do this more often.
Yes. All right. I'm going to bring it up tonight because they're here. The other thing I want to talk about is let's finish talking about the competition, about the men's.
So Fred Richard won the all around, and was also top 3 on 3 events, so automatically locked himself onto the Olympic team. That was not really significant because, like, he wasn't going to be on the, like, if he hadn't finished top 3 on 3 events, like, he wasn't going to be on the Olympic team. Great day overall. Some things, downgraded floor, some little things, but with him, it's like like back when he wasn't even the best all-arounder in the country, which he was right now. I mean, Brody Malone, depending on the day, but Fred Richard was at Olympic trials. His high bar is enough to be like, well, obviously he is on, just like do high bar and nothing else. You're on the team. He could have Steven Nedoroscik onto the team just with high bar, but he is so strong all around and is a world medalist. And so obviously great day made the team. Brody Malone fell on high bar on a Lucan right at the start of the meet on high bar, but again is so far above the standard needed to make the team that was not ultimately that significant, I think, for him. And his high bar average, even with a fall, is still, second best to Fred Richard and so much better than everyone else's. It's kind of like we were talking about with Suni on beam yesterday for the women, where she can have a large error and not do her full difficulty and still destroy everyone else because Simone had a bad one. It's kind of like that with Brody Malone. He can, okay, I fell on a Lucan. I'm still, obviously going to outscore too many of you. So they were, front runners the whole way. And then it was going into today, it was like, well, I don't know. We'll see. Could be anyone. Could be anything. And I was very pleased to see Paul Juda make the team.
So happy for him.
Winning with clean gymnastics, Jessica. And it's kind of funny to me that throughout this whole quad, the entire conversation we've been having with the U.S. men's program is like the D-score bonus and the difficulty bonus and upping the difficulty. And then you see Paul Juda and you're like, and he does have, good difficulty on some key events and like stayed on pommel horse, for instance. But he's like, how about I do a 5.2 D-score on high bar and you super need it? Like, you super need this on the team. Or I'm going to do my CAS 1.5 on vault, which almost everyone in the competition does. But then you see him do it and you're like, oh, that one. That's the one. It's higher, toe point, legs together. So that even though he kind of, he almost stuck it and then kind of stepped back today. And a lot of people were sticking like Brody Malone and it wasn't the same landing, but it was like, no, that should still score at least the same, if not higher. And I think did. It was right up there. Because look at how it looks in the air. It's not a corkscrew. It's beautiful. And I'm very glad to see that rewarded to make the Olympic team.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to the selection for a second.
I would love to talk. You're speaking my language. I would love to talk about selection.
I know. Prepare your spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Is it smart to have written the procedures to take someone with the highest score who only has one event in a scenario where Nedoroscik, for example, he doesn't do any other events. Like, right. He does not. You can't put him on anything else. He could maybe do like his level 7 routine or something. But no,
what if he had to
wouldn't
do
that be
floor?
Great if he was like, here's my compulsory floor from
you just needed someone to do a floor to get into the team final, like in 8th place, because there was some disaster. And he was like, it's better than a 0. Here's my floor.
Like, here's my full, here's my forward roll.
Here's the dream.
Here's the scale, just so you know I'm ready for the next code.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, he is capable of a very high score. He's obviously a world champion on pommel horse. I obviously love specialists. They're my favorite. Yeah. Why do we even have all around anymore? Was it smart to do this when he has not hit his best this year?
It's smart to do it because it's the highest scoring team. Because you have to go by what people performed. And that was what was performed. So that's the highest scoring team. It is extremely risky. This is not a safe team. This is a very risky team. And so it is a lot depends on Steven, because if he goes up and hits his full difficulty in the team final and gets a 15-4, it's like, oh, you're a genius. This team is amazing. This is great. If he doesn't, it's like, Brett McClure, you're fired. Maybe. Well, I mean, maybe.
That's not
we no. I love Brett McClure. I like the selection procedures much more than the women's do, but it's like, that's the difference between a great result and a terrible result, the margin is very small, is what I'm saying, with this team, between you did this perfectly and how could you possibly have selected this dumbass team. And so that's where the risk comes in.
I feel like the whole men's program thing has been like, we have to have huge D's and we have to show the whole world these giant D's.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If that's your strategy and it worked at the last Worlds, even though Nedoroscik has had a fall
was not on the team
at the Worlds before. But if that's your strategy and it's worked, then you have to go for it. Like, this is like Becky Downey in finals. You're not going to win if you don't do your hardest routine. Just do your hardest routine. So I think if that's the strategy they're going the right direction. Like, I love we're here to win. We're not here. We're here for a medal. I mean, no one's going to beat China and Japan, but we're here for a medal.
So a very realistic bronze again for the U.S.
Right?
Team.
Which would
expect. This team should expect a team medal of themselves.
Yes. And if something happens and someone can't hit anything, they have Khoi as a great pommel horse backup, and Shane put him up anywhere because he will rally from the fires of the depths of the lakes of Minnetonka. Isn't that here? And he will be ready and he will hit in Paris. Very excited for him. Okay, I wanted to address the vault controversy that we have been talking about.
This is the men's vault controversy with the scoring at nationals?
Yes, and this specifically affects Donnell Whittenburg and Asher Hong. And what we know from championships is that some coaches were so upset with the vault panel and how they were not judging the way the international scores would be, judging these same vaults, that some coaches asked for the panel to be replaced entirely from championships and be a brand new vault panel here. So these same judges are here. And I asked Thom, who is Asher Hong's coach at Stanford and Khoi Young's coach at Stanford, I asked them specifically about this, and this is what.
Yeah, it's really odd because internationally he is well received, judging wise. He scores significantly better. The problem for us here is the American judges are so good, they don't miss a thing. So what we know we want the big start values because we're not going to be competitive to medal, and that was the push for the guys in my group, my Stanford group. We wanted to be, if we're going to go, we want to be in position to medal. So they've been pushing the difficulty big time, and so there's that balance of execution versus difficulty, and I feel like he's on point, but he's still getting nickeled and dimed to death, and we could pull 5, 6, 7, 8 tenths, and then he'd be right in par with some of the other guys, and probably be able to do it a lot cleaner and hit some of those scores. But we've seen internationally that doesn't float. And then at Tokyo, we walked in 6.5 points behind, and we made a commitment. If we need to be better. We have to be doing bigger gymnastics. So he's on board with that.
I'm part of the group of coaches that wanted the vault panel replaced for this meet. Do you have any comment or feelings about that?
I don't know which coaches exactly, but I do believe that was one of the events where we do see a big separation. If you just look at Asher's scores internationally, doing as good or worse vaults, he's anywhere from 5 to 8 tenths higher in his score. So, that was a little disappointing to see that today. But like I said, they don't miss it. Our American judges are just so good, they do not miss a thing. And, I think that's part of the process of figuring out what the difficulty is that's going to score and what the best routine is that's going to get you on a team.
So what I love about his answer is, remember, he's the coach of Stanford. He's practically KJ Kindler with that response, right?
That's not a response you get from a club coach. That's someone who's had to have a political position in their job before. Like, everyone's so talented that they did what I don't want them to do.
Yes. Such
Your
an
problem is
excellent-
being so talented. That's your biggest issue.
Yes, it was brilliant. The scores are 5 to 8 tenths, almost a whole point lower than Asher gets internationally. But it's because our judges are so good. It was all I could do to not clap for him and be like, have you got a promotion? I'm going to send this video. Compliment and
but
state
Asher
the
got
truth
the
at
score
same time.
today.
Yeah,
he hit
did.
a great one today. Got the
Yep.
score today. He needed it.
Yep. He did not roly-poly out of it.
Nope.
Today. He did a really good job. So there you go. But I love that answer, and it was one of the best answers we've gotten in a long time. So study that. It should be shown in classes. Put it in a PR presentation. Can I rage a meter for a second about something?
I'm sure you can.
Okay, we have some updates on the women's side. And then I have some behind the scenes stories to tell you guys. But I want to just be like, why? You guys, by the way, this show is rated PG-14. So you for sure hear some naughty words or two. Why the shit are the judges sitting on the floor? They have the selection committee and the USAG staff running the show people sitting where the judges at the judges FIG level to judge. The seats are there, right there. But the judges aren't sitting in them. The people selecting the teams are sitting in them. No wonder the scoring is not the same. I know the judges will be like, I can judge, but why wouldn't you want the exact same angle as you're getting at the Olympics?
Why won't you want the exact same equipment you're getting at the Olympics?
Oh! I mean, so many things are better at USA Gymnastics, but not this.
Were you very happy at it was nationals where they were the judges were at the right height?
Almost the right height. They were still 2 feet lower or whatever, but I mean, they're doing so much here, so much right. Okay. Let's get to some questions from you guys. Oh, no. Before we get to questions, we have updates. Number 1, Shilese is out.
Yes, so officially, fully not going to compete on day 2.
Right.
So everything's ruined.
Everything sucks. Everything's ruined. This is the worst thing that's ever happened. I hate it. I hope she just takes herself on a vacation and just smashes rocks somewhere. Or she gets picked up by someone to do some analysis and do something during the Olympics because she's too amazing to be sitting at home. Also, update from yesterday, Kaliya Lincoln upgraded her last pass on the fly because she just felt good and did, instead of a double back last pass, did a full in. I don't think we mentioned that.
Like you do.
Like you do, because she was just like, yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that was on the fly. That was just like, well, sure.
Me either. I was like, oh, she must have decided. Nope. She was not planned. She just decided, she felt good, so she did it. Also, update from yesterday, the meaning of the Simone knocks on beam. Mm-hmm. So this is a New York Times article.
Oh, did you say Sports Illustrated yesterday?
I said Sports Illustrated. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry. So I'm correcting on the record. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The quote from Gregory Milan, the French choreographer, is, what does the knocks mean? Quote, I am breaking my aquarium. I am taking my freedom. I am not letting anyone hurt me anymore, Milan said through an interpreter of the meaning of the knocks. I am breaking out of my cage, in a sense, breaking out to finally be free. I love this. Speaking as only a choreographer can speak. So that is a New York Times article called Simone Biles Floor Exercise Olympic Story. I'm sure it's called something else, but that's what the link is called.
What a catchy title. They're really falling down to the job over at the New York Times.
I want to tell you a behind-the-scenes story, Spencer, about an Olympic champion who was honored because they had some Olympic teams here who were being honored. And it was very nice. But one of them, quote, couldn't be here today. Not because they're dead, couldn't be here. So I want to tell you about that.
Yeah.
But this is where our conversation continues for Club Gym Nerd members who support us all year long. So we have this wealth of knowledge that we can draw from for the show, and help us go to places like Paris, where I am going to Paris, and we are still and remain the first and only gymnastics podcast ever credentialed to go to cover gymnastics at an Olympic Games. So we'll see you back here tomorrow. We won't see you back here. We'll see you back here online tomorrow because we have our live show.
Virtual ticket to the live show.
Yes.
You will be seen online.
Yes, we will see you online tomorrow for the live show, which is, you guys, we have a great guest. Remember, this is us just recording a podcast, talking about stuff. Casey Magnesium will be back. And then we have some surprise special guests to come up to give their input on trials. And you don't know who they're going to be yet, but they're very exciting. So also, if you're a Club Gym Nerd member, you can download your apparatus rules for gym nerds, which is the thing that was going to make you the genius who can just shout facts in the air when you're watching TV, or if you're here, you can shout at the judges, "That was half a point, by the way," and read them from the rules, which I would love for someone to do. So this is where we say goodbye, and we'll see you at the live show. You can still get your virtual tickets, but try to do it now because we're a very small staff and we don't have customer service the day of. So please do it today. And otherwise, we'll see you at the live show. Thank you for joining us. Here's who... You guys.
Did you just press play on something?
My Apple Watch just said that I finished my workout. Apparently
that's how passionate you got about the judge's position at trials. You finished your workout. Good job, Jessica.
Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, all right. So they announced the 1984 Olympic team.
Mm-hmm.
Bart Connor.
Oh, Gem.
Hot doing release moves in the trees. What's his name? Mitch Gaylord. Hot doing release moves.
You just called him hot doing.
To hear the rest of the story, join Club Gym Nerd.